Hey everyone, this is Athletes and Antiquities, and in today's video, I want to talk about how to get started collecting sports cards. I'm going to talk about my journey, my progression of what I bought, and kind of where I see a good starting point for a lot of people. So in this video, I want to go over kind of my collecting journey. I want to talk about where I started, kind of what I moved through from things that interested in me. And then I'm going to talk about like where good places to start are. So first, I just want to say I started with raw cards. I didn't buy graded. I thought grading was stupid. So I would buy raw cards like this. Eric Dickerson, one of the best running backs of all time. You can buy his rookie cards for $5 raw because he's from the junk wax era. There's millions of this card printed, but it's still a great card from a very important piece of history for the sport. So it was an easy decision for me buying cards like this. It's where I started off. I buy cards like Darrelle Revis. You know, defensive players don't get a lot of love. Darrelle Revis, one of the best defensive backs of all time. Revis Island, for those years, he was unstoppable. You literally could not throw the ball in his direction. So buying cards like this is his refractor for $2, $3, great place to start. Just buy players you like, players that you grew up watching. What I did was I started with Steelers. I was a team collector. So I'd buy guys like Santonio Holmes, you know, Super Bowl MVP, had one of the most memorable catches in sports history. And his cards are super cheap now because he didn't do a lot after that, but he was very important to me personally. That was one of the first Super Bowls I actually remember. So things like that you can buy for a fraction of a price of like a Brady or something. So just buy raw cards of players you love. They don't have to be the Bradys, the Mahomes, the Montana, the Jerry Rice. They can just be players you enjoyed watching in whatever game last week. Just, hey, I like that guy. I'm gonna buy one of his cheaper rookie cards just to have it. And then from there, find out what you like. So I bought raw for a while, and then I moved on to graded, like sort of accidentally. And before you, I have my progression from left to right of graded cards I would buy. So the card on the left, this is the first graded card I ever owned. I was buying Steelers cards, as I do, and I was looking for a Hines Ward rookie, and I was looking for raw cards, and they were all like $5. And then I found this Upper Deck Hines Ward in a PSA 9, and it was listed for like 20 bucks, but I was like, hey, it's not that much more than the raw card. So I put in an offer of $15 and it was accepted. So I was like, hey, you know, I have a graded card now. I can try it, see what all the hype is about. This was about 6 years ago, maybe. And I got it and I just loved the presentation value. So from there, I started collecting graded cards. They're much easier to display. It tells you what the card is in the front. So if someone's asking, you can say, oh, that was the 1998 Upper Deck Hines Ward. And you can say, oh, there's about this many graded and stuff like that. It's just interesting. So I was hooked from there with graded. Then I moved on to, I was trying to buy the players I grew up watching. I grew up watching the battles between Brady and Manning. I watched the Adrian Petersons, the Megatrons, the Troy Polomalus. So I wanted to collect those guys. So I started collecting the greatest players of my generation. Manning is definitely one of them. So I was collecting those. This PSA 9 Collector's Edge was worth maybe $40 at the time. I didn't spend a whole lot of money. I was still kind of just figuring out what I liked. And then eventually I got a lot of those, and I wanted to move on to something bigger. I want the GOAT. So I saved up my internship money a few summers ago, and I bought this Brady rookie card, 2000 Bowman, one of his most accessible cards that has him in like a game jersey, which was very important to me. So I moved on to that, and that was, for a while, was the most expensive card I ever bought. It was the first card I spent over $500 on. And then eventually I got some more stuff like that, and I wanted one crown jewel. So I actually sold a lot of my collection to pay for it, but I bought this 1952 Burke Ross Jackie Robinson. I think it's its third year technically. Great action shot. I love the colors. It's faded because it's so old, but it just pops all the same. And I shelled out for it. It was a very expensive card. It's still to date my most expensive card. I don't plan on buying a more expensive card in the the next few years, but I wanted a crown jewel. So I saved up for it, and it's still my crown jewel. So that's my progression. I went from just my team cards to greats of my era to the GOAT, and then I wanted one final piece. And you can do that whatever your final piece is. Your final piece doesn't have to be Jackie Robinson. It doesn't have to be worth the price tag of this card. It can be worth a lot less than this. It could be worth a lot more. It's just whatever's in your feasibility. But I want to talk about other types of cards that people don't talk about that you can buy for much cheaper if you're on a budget. If you're just starting to get collecting, if you don't really know what you like, the first thing is non-rookie cards. You can buy second years, beautiful second year cards for a fraction of the price. That's a 2004 Fleer Tradition LeBron. His rookie year is 03. If you want a nice LeBron, you don't have to get the 03 Exquisite, the 03 whatever Chrome. You can get a second year card with a better shot. I prefer action shots. So I don't like portrait kind of pictures, and that's what a lot of rookie cards are. They're portraits because they haven't played in a game yet. So I didn't mind going for a second year card that was cheaper to get a better art. Like, look at that, like behind, over the shoulder dunk, beautiful art. And it's much cheaper than I could get an 03 card for. I also, before I got my Brady rookie, I was getting cheaper Brady's. This is a 30-year Brady 02 Fleer Platinum. It's a similar vibe to the Tradition. It still looks kind of old, but phenomenal card, very low pop because it's very niche, but you can get it for very cheaply, and that's only in an 8. I actually bought that raw and actually just graded it recently, but you know, same with this one actually. I bought them both raw. But so second year cards are great. You can get junk wax cards. This is kind of a rookie, kind of a second year. It's debatable because he has one card before this, but the Barry Bonds, one of the best hitters of all time. He had the whole steroids scandal, but he was still phenomenal. I still think he's a Hall of Famer. But he was in the junk wax era, so there's thousands of this card out there. It's not valuable by any means. I think this card in the 9 cost me $15, but it's a great card, great action shot of a great player, so it's an easy pickup for me. So if you want great players, you don't have to be spending hundreds of dollars. You could come in with $20 and leave with a Barry Bonds. Other things, like skill position players, I kind of talked a little bit, but like non-quarterbacks. Adrian Peterson, one of the best running backs of all time, you know? The 2,000-yard rushing season off of the torn ACL. One of the greatest events in sports. I think he won a comeback player of the year for it. PSA 9 of one of his rookie cards. It's not his flashy card, one of his more plain cards for what, like $30? I forget what I paid for it. And same set, Calvin Johnson, same set, same rookie class, greatest receiver, one of the greatest receivers, sorry. I say he's third behind Jerry Rice and Randy Moss. Third greatest receiver in a 10, a less desirable set, super cheap. Things like, you know, Gronk, you know, he's a skill position player. He's not a quarterback, but he's one of the greatest of all time. I think he's the greatest, sorry about that. He was one of the greatest tight ends of all time. So you can buy Gronk pretty cheaply. If he was comparable to a quarterback, he would be worth thousands. People just don't value tight ends that much. So you can get Gronk really cheap. Another thing about Gronk is this is his non-flagship. So he has other rookie cards that are much more desirable, but they have worse art in my opinion. So don't be afraid to go off the beaten path and get a less desirable rookie card that you personally like more, even though the hobby doesn't recognize it as good. It's a great strategy, and I think people will come around to it. Another card I have here, Randy Moss, like I talked about, one of the greatest of all time, his not flagship card, super cheap, you know, 98, there's a ton of them out there, but still great. It's a hollow card, his refractor card, but great pickup. You got, if you don't want a first year, can't afford the 86 Fleer, can't afford the second year because 87's pretty expensive, 88's expensive, get a few years later, just go for the art. This card is not even close to his rookie card, but it's one of the greatest Michael Jordan shots of all time. With the dunk, with the tongue out, Pippen in the background, it's got everything. I think it's Ewing back there in the left. Is that Patrick Ewing? I actually can't really see. I think it's New York, so it might be. Phenomenal art. It's comparable to the 86 Fleer dunk, in my opinion, in terms of art, but just great card. This was a shorter video. I just wanted to show you some different types of things you can collect. I hope maybe if you're new, I sparked an idea in you, something I said you liked. That's just kind of a lot of the things I collect. I have a very wide paintbrush I cast with sports cards, just whatever piques my interest I buy. I'm not as regimented as I am with Pokemon. But yeah, what do you think? Do you like some strategies I have? Do you not like some strategies I had? How did you evolve in this hobby? When you entered, what did you collect? What do you enjoy? What do you enjoy now? And how did you get from where you started to where you are now? I'd love to hear about it. I read all my comments, so let me know. Like, where did you come from? Where are you now in the hobby? What kinds of things do you buy? So yeah, and as always, if you have any ideas for another video, let me know. This video was actually requested by Natmesh on YouTube. He asked for just a tutorial on sports cards, so I thought I'd give you a little quick one. There's obviously a lot of things I missed. I didn't touch autographs. I didn't touch patch cards. I didn't touch parallels, because I personally don't really collect those things. So I collect some like older autos, but I don't collect like modern player autos. So I can't really help you much there. If you want a video on autos or patches, I could make one, because I have a few of them, but like that'd be more down the line, and there's probably better people out there for it. So yeah, let me know what you think. Thanks.